Coming up next, we've got an interview with Jage, who was kind enough to come on the show after I called his latest business a idea. Let's take a look. Jage launched a new kind of online conference. Yes, attendees at MJ Unpacked could sit on their couch at home while a look-alike avatar explored a virtual trade show. Now you might be thinking, wow, starting this conference must be one of the absolute best ideas this guy has ever had. Virtual avatar. Well, thanks, George, so much for sitting down and joining us today to get your thoughts on the industry.
Fantastic, Mike. I really appreciate being able to be on your show.
Thank you. So I want to start off just my understanding of your background as you started in kind of niche markets for events, trade shows, media. You got into the cannabis industry with MJBiz. You built that business up with a team there to a pretty large extent. We know you spent a little time at Dope Magazine and managed to get that company maybe into a better place, sold it to High Times Magazine, and now the biggest thing in your world right now is MJ Unpacked, which has been shifting to a virtual-only conference. Can you tell us a little bit more about what you're working on?
Sure. Well, first of all, I'll probably hire you to ghostwrite my biography someday. You seem to nail all of the key elements there. Thank you. So MJ Unpacked is a virtual 3D summit. What we've created here is really a event that is exclusively for brand and retail executives. We believe that that is a relatively underserved segment of the market. And really, it's the most critical engagement point and kind of subsegment right before we're all collectively reaching the consumer. So there's a lot of shared challenges and opportunities between the brand and the retailers, the brands and the retailers, to really help educate the consumer upstream, create a positive retail experience, and for the brands to have transparency on selling an experience themselves, right? Like they're selling a psychotropic medicine and or recreational use product. So how does that brand communicate to the consumer what their product's going to do and do it consistently?
When did you launch this project? When did you realize that your plans were about to be scattered to the wind? And how did you make the decision that you were going to forge forward in the virtual space?
Yeah, well, so, I got into the cannabis industry, or I found the cannabis industry in 2014. I think it was kind of a full circle moment for me, having the trade show and event experience and business media experience and an extension of the herbal distribution business that I had in high school and college. So it was really kind of collaborating all of those life experiences. But I've had the opportunity to run 3 different media companies in the space. I've been having a conversation with a dear friend of mine, Patrick Ray at Canopy Boulder. Patrick used to be an executive at Natural Products Expo. He truly understands, the event space. And he and I have been talking for a little while. I found myself, wondering if I wanted to stay in the cannabis industry or if I wanted to, pursue other interests. And we started talking about that there is a bigger opportunity here in the business media space to really focus on these brands. And, we are a consumer packaged goods industry. So Patrick decided to recruit me into the Canopy cohort for this winter class. That comes with a decent amount of capital for pre-seed money for me to start the formation of the business, start hiring some of my initial team. I started the business with my wife, who's my business partner, and she used to run World Team Media with me, so she's very experienced, business media and trade show operator as well. So we went out and raised some money, and Patrick is a tremendous coach when it comes to pitch decks, and he just works you through the ringer and makes you pitch. Fortunately, based on, both my reputation, some people that have invested in my past businesses that have had success, we closed our entire seed round in February. We were only the second company in Canopy Boulder's history that actually closed their seed round before the cohort actually completed. Work was the other one. Tip of my hat to Keegan and his team. We were kind of in a unique position because we were fully funded, with an 18-month runway, and we hadn't jumped in the pool. So we didn't have to kind of dry off, figure it out. I know a lot of the other trade shows were like, oh, we're not giving people money back and we're going to hold it and we'll figure this out. We're going to reschedule dates. it just left, there was a lot of confusion. People didn't know what to do. I hate to overuse the unprecedented times, statement. Maybe you could play some soft piano music in the background while we say, these are unprecedented times. I mean, these are hard times, but it's really disruptive, and our entire economy has been disruptive. So how do we provide new solutions to the same existing needs in our industry? And that was really where the idea to move forward with a virtual event came about. I've seen this technology for 20 years. It's evolved, not tremendously, but it doesn't typically work well with a consumer packaged goods industry, because you want to be able to see and touch and feel those products, right?
Right.
So we decided to move forward. I think one of my skills and weaknesses is I like to move really fast. So we pushed really hard, and in 5 weeks, completely retooled our business, launched the first virtual trade show for the cannabis industry, and very likely maybe launching the second virtual trade show for the cannabis industry with our next event for the California market at the end of June.
On the topic of events in general, since you run events in other industries, now in cannabis, my question is the cannabis industry particularly attuned to events because we like to socialize and hang out with each other? Or is any industry just as open to events? Or do you look for things in certain industries where you say, okay, this is an industry that would really get along well with events, and over here is an industry where they really don't want to come and network with each other at all? How do you look at that?
Well, my experience has always been in early stage markets. So, it creates an opportunity that people are really, seeking information. They're seeking to be able to build networks. I think, some of the kind of stayed and tired and true industries, concrete, things like that. Like, it's kind of a boondoggle for people to get together, maybe see some new products, but also just to kind of, reconnect with those people in the industry. But yeah, I think, it's not inherent or exclusive to cannabis. I mean, again, going back to the fact that, we are a social creature, and we, strive to provide, validate ourselves, right? And we do that professionally, not just personally. So we want to go to events. We want to develop ourselves professionally, hear the thought leaders, make new connections, be able to build those connections into business opportunities. So I think that events, period, they drive business. One of the event companies I used to run, most of our exhibitors did about 70 to 80% of their annual business just at our events.
Wow.
That's huge.
Yeah. I'm curious what you would tell someone if you met someone at a dispensary who maybe they recognized you as someone who's been around the industry for a while, and they said, hey, I'm a bud tender, I've been doing this for a year, but I really want to climb towards this being my career path. You've now been an executive at multiple companies. How can I build my skill set in that direction and really turn this into a career that I can, do for several decades, and it wouldn't be a hard retail life? What kind of advice would you give to people who want to move themselves up in this industry?
Sure. I think, it depends on what they're passionate about. You talk about a bud tender. My advice to them would be the best bud tender in the entire state, right? Like, when you look at the food and the food and beverage industry, go to a restaurant, the sommeliers that are working there that truly have a mastery of wines, that are making recommendations and helping customers in a really significant way, probably make a nice 6-figure living. With tips and everything else, and can provide a very nice life for their family. Same thing with a retail store. If you're a manager and you have managerial skills, if you're working at a staff level, go get an online degree, on business management, or just self-teach and hack your education to become a really effective manager, because, that talent pool is going to come from the existing people in the industry.
One more question, very selfishly. Where are we at right now in cannabis media, and does a YouTube show have a chance of taking off?
Yes, absolutely. And listen, the way we consume media has changed dramatically in the last 30 days, 60 days, the last couple of years. Certainly I think, my son, who's a little, gamer dude and, YouTuber and everything else, and hashtag scholarship. I think that, generationally, more people are looking at YouTube or looking at streaming channels that they can watch content on demand. So, once you start building those subscriptions, and I subscribe to several people's content on YouTube, and when it comes into my inbox, I'm very excited to watch it.
I mentioned to you the other day that there are some pockets of YouTube and new media that are very vibrant. Like Tesla is one of those, right? Tesla has a whole Twitterverse, Tesla has a YouTube verse, and there are people who spend a lot of their time just consuming Tesla content, some of them who are investors in Tesla, but others who are just fascinated by the company. And I was kind of surprised that cannabis doesn't have that vibrant new media world. We're a startup industry. It's a fascinating business story.
I think it does. I think, it's just, Elon Musk, AKA Tony Stark. I mean, the storytelling behind that brand is phenomenal. And, he didn't just make an electric car that, is kind of awkward to drive around when we're used to this power for so long, like Toyota did. He created sexy cars that have a ton of power. Like, he understood the American psyche that we are born to drive. This has been ingrained for 50 years in our society, right? The same way it's been ingrained that we need to go and drink out of a can or go to a bar and drink, right? So how do we transform those? But you look at companies like Cookies and what they're doing with social media, or brands like Candescent, and how they're creating not a product, but their products are built around the emotion or the experience, right? And I think companies, as they start using that storytelling, is really, we're going to see the Teslas of our industry.
Awesome. I love that. Well, thank you for sharing your story with us today and sitting down with us, and we'll talk to you again soon.
I'm honored, sir. Thank you. Continued success. And don't forget to subscribe below. Mike Hayes.
That's right. Thanks, George. Talk soon.